All right, so we have our basic animations on our two models so far, but let's animate something a little bit more complicated like the light property here. So I'm going to select my point light, still have my animation window open. I'm going to hit create. I'll call this light animation. And this time, some of these can be modified within this property. Since last time we just did transform, let's try and do something a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to add a light property, and I'm going to do the color, and I'm going to animate two things at once. I'll also animate the intensity. So if we remember, the intensity is the general brightness, and the color can be modified to suit whatever we like. So if we twirl down color, there's an RGBA value, which is just a simple number value. Let's create kind of a slow transition over, say, 4 seconds. And at second 1, it's going to look like this. At second 4, again, I can just hit that previous and next button to skip ahead to the next set of keyframes. I'm going to hit that record button, and all I need to do is directly click on the color, and let's change it to this red. So what should happen is it should start at this white, and then over time it'll transition to this red. Perfect. Let's also change our light intensity, but let's change our light intensity on a different basis. So over here, change the intensity so it's really high, and then over here, we'll change the intensity so it's really low. So you can start to see that we're getting multiple keyframes generated, and then the intensity go back to 1 here. So we'll sort of fade it out and then fade it back up. So this is called a dope sheet animation, what we've been viewing for both of our animations so far. I'm going to hit play and take a look at this animation. So we have this simple animation right now, but we can also view this in what's called a curves view, and the curves view shows the animation values over time in a curve graphic view. We can select different values and see how those things change over time. So here's the intensity starting at 0, and then if I, whoops, let me zoom back out. If I just scroll my mouse wheel in, I can zoom in on the animation a bit and see how that property shifts over time. So it starts here. It's going to go up to hit that 2 point whatever value. It's going to go back down to go down to 0. So we can see those numbers here. And this is where we can grab these handles and start to do some interesting things and kind of remix our animation throughout. I'm not going to go too in-depth with this time, but there's lots of different things you can play around with here. Try out these different tangents and see how these work to affect how your animations transition from one moment to another moment. And I think you'll find some really interesting things.